It's not gonna be about it. Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another episode of Cocktails in Christ. Tonight we have two special guests, Miss Lenora, who I love. Miss Cake Lady, I call her the Cake Lady.
The Cake Lady.
I watch the Cake Devils all the time. I can't make worth the darn though, but it's good to watch. Maybe one day I'll get better.
People like
and we have another lovely co-host, Miss Joy. She was on last week, and she's back on this week to talk about the concubines, sister wives of the Bible. Those lovely ladies that weren't really wise. They were wise, but they weren't really front and center wives. They were just like background people in the back, like the stage hands.
So they were wives.
They are actually wives.
Okay.
Actually wives.
Okay.
They're just not the center wives. And let me explain that then. Let's go into prayer. You need to stop in prayer since you jumped off of it last week.
I know. Let's pray. I'm waiting on you, Shaw.
Why are you waiting on me? I said you.
Are we praying?
You jumped off of it last week.
The prayers?
Yeah.
I know, but I'm not ready yet.
Okay, Heavenly Father, we come before you in this wonderful day and wonderful time to break your bread and to drink of you and to give revelation and to speak your truth to each and everyone that listens to us, to watch us later today, here now. We thank you for this fellowship and this meeting, this union. Let your word be heard. Let your truth come forth. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay, great. Nothing special about it. Tonight we're talking about the concubines. That's just my prayer. Same words. It's not tonight we're talking about concubines. And so for all who don't know, let me give you the definition of a concubine in biblical terms. Concubines were wives. They are actual wives. They're not prostitutes. They're not side chicks. They're not none of that. They're actual wives that were acquired into the marriage to bear more heirs to that person. And by Jewish law, the man had to actually be able to afford to be able to take care of these women. So the actual wives, like the Rachels, the Leah, the Sarahs of the Bible, they came into the marriage with dowry. So they came into the marriage with wealth. So it was joining of our assets together. Now, whereas the concubine, they were acquired. They didn't have to have wealth. They just came to have extra babies. So they just came for extra babies. And so it was left up to the male, the patriarch of the family, whether the concubine's children were inherit anything. And most times they did, and most times they did not inherit anything. So when you see inheritance will be the property, and then you have the blessing. So it's two separate things that you see people going after in the Bible. They go after the blessings, which is the words that are spoken, so prophetic words spoken over it. And then you have the inheritance, which is the property, which is the money, the land, the sheep, whatever acquired, physical things that they acquired. You see Jacob and Esau were the perfect to see this with. Jacob got the blessing of the father, and Esau actually got the inheritance. So I rather the blessing than the inheritance, but I want both. Just saying, greedy. Greedy me. I want both. They go a very long way.
It's crazy
we
how
inherit the kingdom of God.
That. Yeah.
Huh?
It's crazy how they want to have the concubines, but they don't want to have the responsibility of taking care of the kids. They want to have a choice. I don't know. It's interesting.
So, most people don't think it started with Abraham. It actually started with Abraham. Abraham actually had the outside of Hagar. If you go back in Genesis where he bestows the blessing inheritance on Isaac, that's where you find out that he had concubines. So Abraham, I think Hagar was the first one, but he had concubines and he actually had more children outside of Esau, outside of Ishmael and Jacob and Isaac. Abraham actually had more children. So he is actually technically the father of many nations. So he actually, the patriarch of the family, brought in concubines. Isaac didn't have any, actually. He's the one that kind of did all of that generational suit to have more wives. He only had his one wife, Rebecca. And then you see Jacob coming in and getting wives getting concubines because of his wives. Don't know.
So that's not something
it was
that was okay with, right?
God is
That
not,
was
no,
not
God permitted. It wasn't a part of God's
okay.
will. It was a permitted.
Okay.
So you have the permissive will of God and the ordained will of God. And you can live in the permissive will and still be blessed. It's just not in abundance.
So he permitted it, but he wasn't like all the way okay with it.
It wasn't okay.
But he permitted it.
He permitted it. There's a lot of things that he's not okay with it, but he permits it because
But
he loves
will
us.
permit it.
Okay. So you see the will of God right there. Two wills, permissive
and was there back then like something called like a bride price?
Yes.
Depending how much.
Yes. So there is a price that was and so you see them exchanging property. Okay. So exchanging of wealth, exchanging of I can purchase, and you see, I think it's still happening today, if my mind serves me correct. In some cultures,
I was reading.
In some cultures, it's
still happening.
Marriage cultures, and when you look at the Bible, this is arranged marriage culture. This is arranged marriage. So, when the child is born, the woman is born. She's prepared to be a wife. One of my guest hosts, the first male on the show, said, that was their come all to be all. It was their highest honor was to be a wife. Right. Mm-hmm. It was the highest honor to be a wife. And so they were just like, that was a coveted position, which it still is today. Just saying. Yeah, it is. It's still out there today. Everybody want to be a wife. I'm a wife, so I hope, you know what I mean? Everybody and you see all our love story and everything tells us to go be a wife. Yeah. Everything points us to go being a wife. Mm-hmm. Happy life, happy wife, whatever. Yeah. So you see that we happening. Are the ones that are the matriarch and we do hold a lot of power. Our wives do. We're like the kings, actually. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So yeah. Yeah. So in biblical, the wife, the actual one that was labeled the wife, the first one, the very first one. The concubines came second. They were sisters. That's why we call them sister wives, because so the first wife that you chose that came in with something, with a blessing, that's your wife. She's going to be buried next to you in the plot. Everybody else is not there. They actually, get.
So just that first one would have the title to,
But they are still the concubines are still recognized as wives. They're still recognized. They still have authority to rule and to reign, but they just don't have hierarchy power. They were under the wife, the actual first wife. They're under her.
They were under the first.
They served the wife, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yes. So you see, Hagar was Sarah's maid, and you see Rachel and Leah giving their hand servants, their maids, to their husband as wife instead of him going out and actually acquiring wife. They were right there. So it's kind of like, okay, you already worked for us. You already paid for us. We came with extra women because most of these women had servants. So you already seen their royalty in them and their wealth to where they actually had servants. Because even now to have a servant, you got to make money. You got to pay this person extra money. Like, who has all of that floating around? Yeah. But you see these women they're coming from some type of a wealth system, having attain things, their family members having attained things, and royalty marries royalty, wealth marries wealth, so we can get greater wealth. And you see that happening. So when these women come, they come with servants, women serving them. And I don't even know how that relates in society today. I don't see it doesn't. I don't think it does. It doesn't relate to our society, but it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't relate. So in those days, I guess women traveled in packs. Yeah, they did. They traveled 2 by 2. Yeah, they traveled 2 by 2, 3 by 3. Yeah. But you see all the matriarchal women having servants with them. Mm-hmm. Sarah acquired Hagar in Egypt when her and Abraham went to Egypt. That's where Hagar came with them. And Hagar, who was the first concubine wife or sister wife, she was actually a princess. And she chose to go serve in Abraham's house. And you see Sarah offering her up. So you see the master and subservient position right there. And then you see it again with Leah and Rachel. being offered up rather than you willingly go up. You're being offered up.
Wow, yeah, that would be crazy.
That is like, you're offered up without, so it kind of shows you like the rule of these women, the system that they lived in, that these people were just willing to go up. You don't hear no backlash. You don't hear no rebuttal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of like, how was that relationship? How do you think that relationship was? Because I don't see offering up my best friend or any of my friends to my husband like, oh yeah, you want a baby? Let's, you can go.
I don't think that they had feelings back then. It was super structured. Like, you do this, like your life is kind of laid out for you. You're either going to be poor or you're going to do this, so it's like your life is all like everything.
So they just kind of followed suit into a system.
Yeah, they followed in suit.
That was already in place.
They didn't even worry about that. It was just like, whatever I got to do
to
survive and make these babies. Like, it's all about making the babies.
Which, so funny you should say it's all about making the babies. What you recognize is when women are offered up to the husband is because the women, the wife herself could not produce.
Yeah.
And so she couldn't produce an heir. She couldn't carry the baby to full term. And I was listening to Jay's sermon as I was driving home, and something hit me, and I was just like, he said God said to the serpent, her seed, the woman's seed, will bruise your head. He didn't say the man's seed. He said the woman's seed will bruise your head. And so she's delivering the deliverer. See, for Abraham and the promise that God gave him, he needed the deliverer, which is Sarah, to deliver. And that's what Sarah was delivering.
Yeah.
The covenant, the promise to the next generation. In order for him to have nations, something has to be delivered. And so she takes Hagar from wherever Hagar is and say, hey, I'm going to put you in my position to be a deliverer. And it's like, no. There's no substitute. There is no substitute for a wife.
No, yeah.
Even in marriage, look at the marriage where people go cheating. It's really not a substitute. You're interchanging. It's not a there's no substitute for what you've already developed here. You can't water it down. This is something that you created. It's a creation. It's something that you created. And so you're looking for a substitute. And it's like, no, there is no substitute.
Yeah.
There is no substitute for the wife. Your mom can't substitute for your wife. Your sister can't substitute for your wife. Your friends can't substitute for your wife. None of the other people in your life can substitute for your wife. So then you have to deal with the situation you're in. And you see that with Sarah. And you see that with Rachel Rachel actually, because Leah had children and she only started doing her little meddling when her sister did the little meddling of having, because she couldn't produce.
Yeah.
So she's left in a position like, oh, I can't give you something, then let me find a substitute to give you that very thing. And by law, the woman had to produce an heir, which is male, in order for the inheritance to go. Because if he didn't have an heir, the inheritance will go to one of his servants. And so it's like you're passing that lineage. Your generation dies with you.
Yeah.
Everything you worked for dies with you. And so you're having to pass it. So here comes a system. Somebody came up with this wonderful system. Let's go have multiple wives so that even if our main wife can't produce, let's go, we'll have somewhere down the line. A backup plan. Yeah, there's a backup woman somewhere around there. Some one of them is going to produce something. And it's like, why? Now you've created a dynamic of servant subservient when we're supposed to be equals.
Yeah.
So here comes you're instituting a hierarchy.
Yeah.
That we can see even today, where women kind of like.
It is like that.
The hierarchy's there with us women.
I feel it.
So it's like you feel it. Like you see it. You see it. And even within, when you break down the hierarchy, like dark skin, long hair, short hair, nappy hair, pretty hair.
Yeah.
And And then we start comparing.
Yeah, and then wondering what men want and stuff, and it's too much.
You see that from it started way before.
And men don't even care. Men just want a good woman. They don't care how you look, what you do. They just want a good woman. That's it.
Not many, not too many wives, but one wife.
Yeah,
but just to produce more, they went out and got more. It wasn't even in God's will. That's not what God wanted for them. And they had to be able to. So that goes back to what you're seeing in society. You having 10 children and you can't afford them. 10 girlfriends and you can't afford them.
No, you can't. Like, so they're all getting everyone is substituting just in case, you know what I mean? Just in case this happens or that happens, but maybe it is supposed to die with you. Maybe that's, just to refresh, give someone else a turn, why, the same person in power for so many years or whatever, you know what I mean? Just to refresh things. So it is crazy how people, and then some people are selfish, back then too. So they want more, so.
Well, I think for Abraham, and then they had so much.
Yeah.
He had been blessed so much. Wherever he went, like the blessings of God just followed him. The favor of God just followed him, where people were just blessing him. So before he knew it, whatever he had, he already tripled, quadruple folded. And so he had enough to go all the way around where nobody liked, because even in Genesis, it tells when he died, he was dying, he gave his concubine and his other children stuff to go away with. So they'll be away from Isaac. So you see the wives even walking away from the situation with plenty, even though in biblical terms, in biblical time, the concubines didn't have, they were just acquired in, and they can actually, the woman could actually go be a concubine. Like you could sell yourself into being a concubine or a servant. But she didn't have to come with anything. But then she leaves with something.
So, and
she wasn't a lower class. No. The man, the family had to give her to feed her, keep her up just like anyone. It's not like, I took on 2 wives and one gets better and the other one doesn't. It's like, no. They all got the same level of treatment. They all got to take turns. They all got to rear the children. And so I don't think anywhere in the Bible where the subservient, the wife, the concubine got less. Her children still got blessed.
Yeah.
Because they're coming through the seed of Abraham, and through the seed of Abraham, everything is blessed. Because he's Abraham. The covenant with God went to his seed. It doesn't matter who the seed came from. As long as it was Abraham, here you are with a blessing, because you're coming through that lineage, that bloodline. Even if you go over to the Canaanite woman, it's still there to produce a seed, because that same seed is through that male coming through that woman. So it's the seed that it's the water. So Abraham's lineage just had that type of blessing over them, and the covenant stayed over them. It was unbreakable.
Yeah.
God didn't break it. He never broke the covenant with Abraham. So you see Abraham, and yes, Father Abraham had concubines. It's not really like a verse or 2 in the Bible. Talked about. Hagar was probably the only one that was talked about. Second wives go. You can skip over Isaac and Rebecca, because Isaac did not have any actual concubines. It was just him and Rebecca. And then you see patriarch Jacob. And I don't think that was Jacob's idea. I think it was just the situation he was put in. Rachel was put in, and she wanted to, because she saw her sister being blessed with children and producing their a high moment for them. This is like, the highest of highs. This is as far as you can get. Like, to produce a child and to share that bond with the one that you love. Here, I'm going to have a child. So I can have a child to someone else and it still be your heir, because it's still your seed.
Yeah.
And you see not the watering down of the seed not there. And then here comes the servants. And because they're good servants, they're faithful servants. They're not like, today's job people. They're not like the service you get at McDonald's and Walmart.
No, right.
It's like, worst customer service ever.
Yeah.
They served without question. They served without complaints. They served because they took that position they held it in high regards.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're able to see the servants becoming wives, which still was an upgrade for them too. So rather than being a servant, now become a wife.
Yeah, they get treated differently than this a servant would, you know. So yeah.
Now their children can have inheritance rather than being a servant, and you inherit if the master doesn't produce. But if the master's acquiring wives, he's gonna produce. Status, because they're in the vicinity of these women, grow. And it's just like the iron sharpening iron. It's knowledge. Because I'm in her presence, because I'm around her, you see, I will elevate.
Yeah,
that's the word I was looking for. I would my status will be elevated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're rubbing elbows, when you're gaining knowledge.
Yeah.
You and just in the presence of other people, being blessed because they're blessed.
Yeah.
The overflow. So what you're seeing with these concubines are the overflow. The overflow of blessing, the overflow of wealth. It's spilling over to me. I'm just in the vicinity. I didn't choose to be here. I didn't, maybe, because of whatever in my background made me, I'm here now. Here comes overflow for me. And it's just having yourself in that position. I love to hang around married people and people who have really good foundational marriages, because that wealth of knowledge passes on to me. I get to see how they interact. I get to see, so that when I get to where I need to be, hey, I got some knowledge. I've been in the vicinity. I've been around some wives.
Yeah.
I was a servant to the wife, but she ain't gonna make me a husband's servant, but or husband's wife. But because I'm close to her and I'm close proximity relation wise, my status gets elevated. Yeah. So you're seeing that with the concubines, because the ones that started out as servants, their status being elevated to wives, and so now you're entitled to something.
Yeah.
I don't see, and the only person that I see actually interacting as far as concubines go, and it wasn't a negative manner, it was Hannah and what's his name? It starts with a P. I can't pronounce it right now. So them two, where she was mocking her because she had children, and you see it with Rachel and Leah too, where Leah had her 4 children, and it was kind of like, because Jacob favors me, oh my God, I need to have a baby. And so it's almost like she's rubbing it in your face. Yeah, he may love you, but I have a baby. And you see that in society too, with baby mama and wife, baby mamas too, just going back and forth.
Yeah.
He wants a boy. I gave him the boy. Well, I gave him the girl. But, we're just going back and forth.
It is stressful to have a boy, because I have a girl, but we wanted a boy. So it was kind of like, when we found out we had a girl, it was kind of disappointing a little bit, because, we wanted a boy, but why have that stress or that? I mean, I'm not the only mom that feels that way.
So you're probably in a Rachel position right now where.
You want to give your husband a son, but it's it's not really up to, nobody can help that. But the women then, it was very important to have a son. If you didn't have a son, then on to the next one. I need to get my son.
I think it's a bad position to be. It's a very, and you see, that's a system, and it's bondage. Yeah. It's actually bondage in its form. It's a system that you didn't create, but now you have to perform in it. And it's
even still now,
I'm not. It's I'm not. I can't have a baby. I can't have if I'm popping out girls, I can't be in a system that wants boys.
Yeah.
And so for her, it was just then you have that system that says, okay, we can go acquire more people to bring me more heirs, just in case you don't give me one. You don't lose your position as my wife. It's just, I need someone to further my generation, further my bloodline. And so that's pretty much where concubines came in, to furthering the bloodline. They're not prostitutes. They're never looked upon favorably in the Bible or by society. I don't know. Maybe it's because of their name, concubines. And it's no, they were wives. They just had to have a name. They couldn't be the wife. Because it's only one wife.
Yeah, you can't say wife number 2. That doesn't,
doesn't sound good, huh? Wife number 1, wife number 2. No, so they created a name for them. and they were just there to produce. That's their job, was to produce. The wife, she didn't, she married into the relationship. Not, I don't think she knew she couldn't produce, but once she's there, it's
No,
like,
you don't.
okay,
No, no, yeah.
you don't know, you can't produce, for whatever reason. And in biblical days, it wasn't that they didn't get pregnant. That wasn't the issue. It was that they couldn't carry the baby to full term.
Yeah. Or they'll die at birth or something.
Because Rachel died in childbirth, giving birth to Benjamin.
The childbirth, yeah.
Yeah.
So sad. Yeah.
Solomon, who is the wisest, had the most wives. Oof, baby. That man had, I don't know.
Hundreds. Yeah.
I don't know how he made all those women get along. He was really good. He was
like, don't you get tired? Like, I don't want to meet no other woman. I want to see no other woman. You know.
Like, how don't you get tired? Like, how many days like, who spends, like, do you pass them off like in an hour? Because I know it's only 365 days in a year.
Yeah.
Solomon had like a lot of wives. But then you see that
at once
concubine system
throughout
the Bible.
Yeah.
Throughout, from the patriarchs. So it's a system that was passed on throughout the generation. The only person that skipped it was Isaac. That was it.
Okay, I might look at that. Yeah.
Isaac was the only one that had one wife. Rebecca was the only wife.
Yeah. That's interesting to me. Seeing everybody else do it, but you know.
But you're the one in the generation.
Mm-hmm.
Right after seeing your father do it.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then Sarah actually died before Abraham.
Okay.
So, because Sarah died before Rebecca came in the picture. And women had pivotal roles back then too.
Yeah.
So I think it's just having another, and you see that with some men where they love being married for so long, and they lived in that marital place where you're gonna go look for a wife. I tell some people, like, you are, a wife, like, you are a relationship person. You can tell a person that's not a relationship person and because some people function better when they're in relationships rather than others. So you see men who wives, they're widows or they get divorced because they had been in it so long, and that's the only way they know how to survive or to live. They want the companionship. And so I think that for Abraham, he had walked with Sarah for so long. He's always had a partner. He's never done it by himself. So to have more, like, I mean, this is the walk that I've had. I don't know how to do it without a partner. So I'm gonna go get another partner.
Yeah.
But for Isaac, something about that just did not, I don't know why it didn't relate to him. I don't know why he skipped it. And then you see it skipping him, and then I'm like, Jacob, but Esau, which is Isaac's son, Jacob's twin brother, he had multiple wives.
Yeah.
He had wives and concubines. He had Canaanite wives, and then he went to his uncle and got married into his family because he thought that would please his father. So he acquired his cousins as wives. But you see, it's skipping Isaac just for one generation. You just skipped to one generation. Just
maybe one. I think there's a reason for that.
There could be a spiritual. And you see that some things will skip a generation.
Yeah. Some
behaviors, some patterns, some genealogy would skip. DNA would skip. Certain features would skip a generation. And then it'll pick up in the next one. I think Isaac for himself probably just didn't see the use or the need in it. Yeah. And just, he was so in love with Rebecca, and that was his end all to be all. But then you see both his twin sons, one following in his grandfather's footstep, Abraham, and then, well, they both followed in Abraham's footstep, not their father.
Yeah.
Which beckons a question, like, did they know, or was this just like in the blood?
I think if you're around, maybe they were, I don't know. Yeah.
They could be around, and it could just be in the blood. Yeah. To do, because sometimes, in when you think about women and the child, when our mothers are in our grandmother's womb, we're actually in our mother's womb. Yeah. So the generation is sitting in there. And so whatever that person does, it'll pass on because we're in there already. That's right. We're already there. Yeah. So you see things like this passing on. Jake never said Jacob treated any of his wives differently, We all know he loved Rachel the most because that was the first person he laid eyes on. He fell in love with her for different reasons. And then Leah was just kind of duped into marrying Jacob, but she stayed in the marriage as a wife. And then she gave, because her sister gave up her servant as a wife, she did it. And so the back and forthness kind of went between all four wives. Yeah, it was actually 4.
Wow.
So they kept on offering up servants for him to have more children. And so it ended up with Jacob having 12 children.
Wow.
And then you see Joseph, I think all the other children did. Joseph only married his wife in Egypt, and he didn't have multiple wives. So you still see that pattern of skipping one in the generation.
Yeah.
But these women carried babies for the people, for the men. They lived in unison, so harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Sarah and Hagar. That was a little bit a touchy situation in the beginning.
Yeah. I heard that
touchy...
that episode when you were talking about that.
Yeah, that was I think that was just frustration coming out.
Yeah.
And you see that being a servant to someone, you're gonna get frustrated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost like I'm here in my free will, but there's only so much I can take.
Mm-hmm.
But the other ones, Jacob's wives, the only 2 that you see bickering or going back and forth are the actual 2 wives, not even the concubines, the 2 wives.
Wow.
They went back and forth. And you see with Hannah and Peninnah, or whatever her name is. Don't fault me for that, y'all. They were back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Over, and it's always over the children. It's always the ability to produce heirs that they will bicker over, because one feels like, because I produced, I am more superior. And produces inferior in today's society. Because I have this, I have long hair, I might have light skin, I'm superior. And because you're dark skinned, I'm not gonna say that. Hair with full of curls, hair with extra curls. You're inferior. And we created a society based on superior inferiorness, because I make more money, I'm superior than you.
Yeah.
Because I have a husband, you don't, I'm superior than you. And so the bickering between women started way before us.
Yeah.
And to give glory, we know where it started, but we can end it. We can fix it. We can demolish it. We can get rid of it. It's not in God's will for a man to have multiple wives. It's not. No. It's a permitted thing because he loves you. You permit your children to do certain things because you love them. It's not what you want for them, but when they become adults, you're like, listen, not my choice. But it's okay. I still love you.
Yeah.
And then you're back then they didn't have modern medicine like we do to predict if the child is going to be born with something, the child is not going to be born with something. They had midwives that had intuition and stuff and discernment, but a lot of these women, because of the harshness of the environment and just because of the life, and they're just the rigors of their life, it wasn't. They couldn't just carry a baby and live to a certain point. And so Sarah, who loved children, didn't have any. And so you're seeing her go through this, and now you find an opportunity. There's a clause in the law that says, hey, you can have the baby for you. We see it today. Surrogate mothers. Surrogacy has become a booming business. Having a baby for someone else is, listen, if my wound is good, I can rent it out to you.
Yeah.
So you can have male heirs. And further your bloodline. We see it. It's the same thing from biblical. And y'all think Bible is not relevant? It's relevant. It's today.
I think so, yeah.
It's today. There's an opportunity for you to have a child. If you're childless, someone else can carry the baby for you. Or if you just don't feel like putting your body through it, or if you feel like, you know, for different reasons. I think Kim Kardashian did it because she couldn't carry children because of the damage it was doing to her body for carrying one child. She rented out somebody's womb. So here she is having She doesn't love them any less. They're still her children.
Right.
And you see that happening with the father doesn't love the children anyways. They all grew up as one. They're all still in the household. They're not separated. They're not in different houses living. Like, no.
Yeah.
They're still under one roof. And he's able to take care of them. And these women work in unison. And that's the part that I don't want people to look at the differences between concubines and wives. I want them to look at the fact that these women worked together.
Yeah.
For the good of the generation.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we have to look at from these stories of just the different women. There's plenty of them in the Bible. Every generation that David had plenty. Plenty wives. David had plenty of wives, plethora of them. Solomon did the same thing too. And every generation after that, plenty of wives. But one thing we see is working together for the generation to uphold. And I think in society, we may not be wives together, but we're sisters. Let's work together. Let's bond. Let's create a community. And that's what they were creating, was community. They were creating gardens. And so sometimes, we might not be of the same color. We may not be of the same nationality. We may not. You may be a Lutheran and I'm a Jehovah's Witness. We're still sisters. We're still God's creation. Not to separate one from the other or build this class system between us, because it's just only coming to divide us. And we're better. We're better. And so if you're taking anything away, don't look at the concubines because of her title. Don't look at any woman because of her title. Look at them for who they are. They're just like Lenora. She's a woman just like I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Apart from being a wife and a mom, I am who I am. Yeah.
I'm an ex-wife and a mom.
Aw.
But it doesn't matter. We're still women. We're still sisters. We're still in this trying to raise the next generation.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to look at the concubines and the wives as, women who are put in a system and they have to function. And they have to figure out how to function together.
Yeah.
And just the competition doesn't stop them from accomplishing the goal. A little competition doesn't hurt nobody.
Nope.
Healthy competition is healthy for it. It pushes you. It motivates you. It's when it gets to be destructive and start tearing each other down. That's when it's bad. So when you're looking at biblical concubines, they are wives. They're not any side pieces. So get that in your head. They're not those. They're actual wives of the man of the house. They get the same treatment everybody else gets. The other wives get, the first wife. And you see that with Hannah. You see that with Rachel and Leah being two wives in the house. They got the same treatment. One was love. The other one, eventually probably was love, but it wasn't like, one slept in the cellar and one slept up top. Like, it's not like master and servant house. Like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. So just them coming together and working together. So, my takeaway, don't look at the concubines as, they're second to nothing. Like, no. They were women working together for the greater good.
Yeah,
and they came in knowing, hey, this is my role, this is my goal. There was an understanding, and obviously there was communication. Because for me to tell you, hey, Lenora, I need you to go be with my husband.
Yeah.
My husband's just not going to come in the room and you're like, wait a minute, who are you? So you see communication from, the wives to their servants. And there had to be some communication back, some agreement back. And you see, when you get close to women, you get close to someone who, I don't know what you're trying to be like, but you're trying to learn from. Let me say that.
Try to learn from.
Someone you're trying to learn from, not trying to be like, you can't be that person, but someone you're trying to learn from. Either whether it is what do they call them? A mentor.
Mentor, yeah.
Yeah, mentorship. You're not trying to be like them, but you're trying to acquire whatever knowledge you have and apply to your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to do that and use that in your own life to help you elevate
to
a different status, in your own walk. with yourself. Lenore, you got anything?
What do you think about like today? When I was reading about concubines, it talked about how today that they're considered like, a man and a woman that have been together for a long time but not married, and that the woman is considered a concubine.
Really?
Yeah. But they've been together for a long time, like acting as though they're married, but they're not.
So in our terms, common law, husband and wife.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Kind of got that. I'm like, if we're acting like it, why don't we just go be it?
Yeah.
If we're acting it out, why not just go be it?
And I love
we put all the work and effort into acting.
Yeah, it does.
Still
trying to impress all the time, like you're impressing each other all the time almost. Without, when you're married, you don't have to impress each other. Like you're not actually.
Sure.
Like life is hard. Like y'all just try to make it through each day. I thought, you know what I mean? You're not. There is none of that. But. But yeah,
I never got the common law thing. Like, how could I live with somebody for 20 years and live this life when I can just go have the life? I'm living it.
Yeah.
Just go all the way. Why stop halfway? But then everybody has a different take of, the marriage is a piece of paper, and I'm like, it ain't gonna hurt you. You sign papers all day long.
Everything else for paper, right?
Your lease is a paper. Your mortgage is a paper. Your paycheck is a paper. The money you spend is a paper.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law said that because more times not being married is more simpler than being married.
Is she married?
Mm-hmm.
She thinks not being married is simpler.
People would say not being married than being married. But I'm like, no, it's relationship. It's still a relationship. It's still a relationship.
Yeah. The one thing that I could see her maybe saying that is because you're constantly thinking about everybody all day long. You don't have your own by yourself, like
that's
ever.
That's single.
Yeah.
That's when you're single, no children, no one else but yourself to be responsible for.
Yeah.
When you have children and you're single mom, you're still thinking about somebody.
Yeah.
When you're in a relationship with someone and you're not married to the person, you're still thinking about the person.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
You still, whichever way you go, you're still thinking about this person. If you're faithful in the relationship, or if you're not faithful in the relationship and you go cheat, when you cheat, you're still thinking about the person.
Yeah. You are.
Some thought about the person cheating or keep you away from cheating. You're still
Yep. Yeah.
So they're all in your thought process. So don't think it's not thinking about them. Subconscious, you are. Whether it's to think about them to go do something wrong or think about them to do something
that
you
point.
Have someone in your thought process other than yourself.
You always have to think about someone, really. I mean,
I think it's putting someone before you.
Yeah, putting someone.
Nobody wants to put someone before them.
That's what it is.
I am my priority. When you have a child, you're not the priority. You're not.
No.
You're not. Fiddle. You're really not.
Third fiddle.
You're really not. And you might want to tell yourself, I have to take care of me. Yeah, you have to take care of you, but in taking care of you, you're thinking about that child.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to get sleep because I have to go to work because, I need, the job, the money, pay the bills, take care of my child. And in the conversation, somebody else is involved.
Yeah.
So those who
I'd rather be married than be single. I'm happy being married than being single.
I tell people, enjoy your single.
Yeah, enjoy it. If you are single, enjoy it because you don't get that when you're in a relationship.
When you're
even for you, it's. I mean, you can't. You ain't. I mean, I don't know if you're single or not, but you still have.
I'm taking out the market.
Yeah,
I'm taking out the market. But I enjoyed my single. I enjoyed my single wilderness.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Enjoy it. I tell people, listen, enjoy it. You don't get to be in a relationship or a marriage and be single. It doesn't
No.
apply there. You had an opportunity to walk out your single season and do whatever you wanted in that season. And when that season's over, don't go into a union thinking that you could be singular. Like, no. That's two. How you want to be two and want to be one? Like, no, that's 21. Two is two.
It takes a little bit
one
to
is one.
adjust, though. It takes a little bit to adjust from single to then to being in a relation, being married and being in a relationship. It takes a while to really understand what being married is and how all that works, and how do you change, you shift your mind and you shift yourself to being in a marriage. And because it's two different mindsets. So it does take a while, because especially you get married in your 20s like me, that's your life, like your young life, so so
you don't get to have that back. It don't come back.
No.
It does not come back. It doesn't come back.
Yeah.
It doesn't come back.
It doesn't.
You missed out. It's funny you were talking about this, the union. What you see with the concubines and the wives, the more people you bring in your marriage, the more problems you have.
The more problems you have.
So, the positivity is working together as a community. If you're in a relationship or you're walking into a marriage, there was an ex-wife before you. So just community-wise, just having that, and that's what the concubine situation is, where there was a previous person before you. So if your second wife, if your second wife, there was someone before you. So it's like coming into that situation and still having that unit. We're raising children together now. We're coming together instead of tearing each other apart and bickering back and forth and having someone put us on different pedestal. Oh, you're my wife now. She's my, and it's kind of like, you see that dynamic being created in society. And it's like, no. You're walking into the situation where there was a unit before you, and you're coming in. It's coming in to pull that together, to raise these children together, and to create a bigger community for them. Now you don't only have one mom, you have two moms that you can run to. And it's like, it's creating more for the child. And it's creating more of a unity and showing the child, because we teach our children about relationships and how to function. And so you see that happening where they're creating that unit. That's why there was really no bickering. Because how can we create a community when there's bickering?
Right. It's about the kids.
The house is divided. It can't conquer anything.
It can't.
So if your second wife, there's an ex-wife or someone that was in the picture before you, coming in with a mind frame of looking at these concubines and like, you know what? I don't want you to call yourself a concubine. She's a wife, and the concubine is a wife. You can't call yourself a concubine, but the concubine is still a wife. And coming into the situation saying, hey, there was already something here. Am I going to take away from it, or am I going to add to it? What can I bring to solidify this? What can I add to this table to let it grow bigger? And the children are always the one that loses when you have that bickering. It's the child that loses. The next generation is crumbled because the generation before them didn't know how to blend. From whatever status you're coming from, the concubines came from whatever status. They didn't have for the dowry to come into the marriage. They came in producing heirs, and so you're seeing them coming from probably either a lower status or a lower financial state and coming into this marriage gaining something. And they gained way more than just the wealth. They gained a community. Now their brothers, the children grew up together as brothers and sisters. There was no division. Well, there was some rivalry, but like they're still a unit. They're moving as a unit.
They're moving. And
for divorcees and people who are remarrying, take these situations, Jacobs and the Abrahams and every patriarch, every seed after that, and look at these situations and say, hey, I'm in this position. This is who I am today. I am the divorcee with an ex-wife and a child, and now I'm about to get into another marriage. How can we come together? How can we solidify this so we're still moving as a unit?
Yeah, it's super important, because there's a lot going on like that.
You're teaching it, like in these situations, you're teaching your children about marriage and relationship, and they're getting their outlook from you. How did you handle the situation? How did you blend in well?
That's deep.
Did you create a hierarchy in the family unit, or did you divide the family unit?
Yeah. Yeah. What are you doing in your family? Like, yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing? As the woman coming in, and I'm coming at the woman because this is what I am. You know, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Yeah. For real.
Don't look at the other woman. Look at the child in the situation. If there's children in the situation, look at the children. You're coming in to be a mom, and think about your own or the ones that you want. What are you bringing? We love to talk about what we're bringing to the table. Like, how are you coming to add this? If there's bickering before, are you coming to resolve all of that friction, or you're just going to add to the friction that was already there?
Yeah.
By comparison, or by thinking that, oh, you know, I'm better than her. No, you're not.
No.
You're just like you're woman, just like her. There's no difference.
Like her. Yeah, there isn't. Yeah.
You're just like her, and so don't think of yourself. Well, you know, I'm the wife and she's the like. No. It's a community. It's creating a community. It's creating unity. It's creating gardens. It's creating lineage. It's creating relationships. And most of our problems stem from bad relationships. Bad relations with people.
Number one, they stem from that and just dwelling over it for years and years and years and putting it on the kids. You know.
And generationally, you see Isaac skipping the routine of having multiple wives. So somewhere in the generation, someone can break it. It doesn't always have to go to the next one. It's like, we can break it. We know we have the examples. The Bible is a living word. We have the examples to show, like the black and white, to show, hey, this is an example of us. Let's move in this,
So you have a picture of other people's lives and what they did. How
messiness just didn't start with us, y'all. It was way before us. We continued it. We faced it into. We spoke it into existence. We're living it into existence. We're walking. Our faith is at work right now, walking these things out.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, it's going to continue till we decide, hey, you know what? I have an example. I'm living my life by God. I'm living by his truth, which is the word, which is still the word. Here we are, example of the word. The concubines and the wives, and how do they live together?
Yeah.
So it's for the divorcees. It's for the one that didn't marry and had a baby, you know, 2 baby mama. Now, you know, he finally met the girl that he really wants to be with, and now he's married. It's like, how do you blend that? They're sister wives. They're bearers of children. The concubine made it came before the wife. So you are these women. We are these people. We are the sons of Abraham.
And you can be one too. You know, you can end up being one too. You know, so
you can start out the wife and end up the concubine.
Nobody. Don't think anything, because you can be in that position where you have to deal with that. You know, as a woman, anything can happen. You know,
anything can happen. You're not. Anything can happen.
And and you see it.
Anything, you can be in any situation.
Yep.
And so, you know, if you want an example, if you're in that situation and you want an example of what does God say? How does the situation play out? What can I do? Go back and look at the Sarah and look at Rebecca and Leah, Hannah, David's wife, Bathsheba, David had plenty wives, Solomon had plenty wives. Look how these women, even Esther actually was acquired into a sisterhood of wives. She made it to the top, but she was actually acquired into a sisterhood of wives.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing that. So look at these women. They created a community together. And you're still, it's not saying it's going to be perfect. We're not saying that. The Hagar and Sarah, it wasn't a perfect situation. It started out okay, but then it got rough because feelings got involved, and we all have them. And deal with it. And then you see Hagar going back and humbling herself, because for the greater good, it's that child. Because if Hagar stayed in her feelings, that child would have been lost. It would have been died, because she didn't have nowhere to go or nothing to do.
Yeah.
And so you see her going back, because it's the child that's important. The next generation is what is important. Yeah. We're the generation ongoing, but like the generation is there. What are we teaching them? How are we teaching them to live? How are we teaching them? Marriage is on the demise because we're not having the right doctrine.
Wow. Yeah.
Whew. We're not following the right doctrine. We're not. And I can honestly say that. God was, if we're looking any other place than to him for marriage and advice, he ain't gonna work with it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything tells you not to be married. Everything nowadays teaches you to divide.
I hate it. Mm-hmm.
The island syndrome, like, oh, I'm good by myself. No, you're not.
Yep.
No, you're not. We weren't created that way. God saw Adam, and it wasn't okay for him to just be amongst the animals and the trees and whatever. He saw that he had a need for community.
Yeah.
He needed community.
Mm-hmm.
To be a part of. So connected to people, connection, the energy, it's a flowing thing. It's a living thing.
It is. It is. Mm-hmm.
And so if we're not creating community as wives and sister wives and concubines, what are we doing?
Right. What are we doing? Mm-hmm.
What are we doing for the next generation? How are they going to prosper? How are they going to live? If we don't teach them, they're never going to learn. They learn from us.
They won't, yeah.
And you can't expect for society to teach them.
No,
because you see the consequences.
Yeah, society gonna let you go, do what you gotta do. They don't care about you. People don't care about you. So you as a parent, as a mom, and as a dad, and in your life, you have to pour into your kids. You know, so
following the right doctrine. So that these situations, like I said, God permitted this. It wasn't his ordained will. So he permits that we mess up.
Right.
But he'll still love us. He permits that we mess up. He permits it.
That's what it is. It's not
that he's not going to say, oh, well, I'm done with you. No. He still loves you. Unfailing, unconditional love will still love you wherever you are. Right. Now, you have choice. Now I can choose a different, because now I see the consequences of my actions in play. Right. Mm-hmm. And this, and I'm going to drive it home. I grew up in a blended family.
You don't what?
I grew up in a blended family where I saw, exes, my brother's dad still being in the picture, and then my mom having these great relationships, even though they're not together and they've moved on with other people, like them still having that wonderful relationship. Yes. And it, it was just like, wow, we can live in a community where it doesn't have to be bickering. Two people can just walk away and be like, you know what, that wasn't great. But it still can be great. I didn't lose any greatness because I walked away. No. I gained something greater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
So if you're the concubine coming in, or the second wife coming in after, a family has been created, there's a child in there. Think about the child. Mm-hmm. Don't think about that other woman. And if you're the mom with the child, don't stunt the guy's relationship, or if you're the man, don't stunt the person's growth. Don't stunt their happiness. Mm-hmm. Because you want to come in and bicker and create animosity and stuff. It's like, no. We all can still grow. Yep. We all still can hold up your happiness, because I am bitter.
Mm-hmm. It's not worth being bitter or being anything. Like, it's not worth it at all.
Because you're not living. You're not even enjoying your own life, because you're holding on to something, and it's keeping you in chains. It's not even keeping them in chains. It's keeping you in chains.
Mm-hmm. It's keeping you in chains. Yep. Mm-hmm.
If he chose not to be with you, it's his loss, not yours.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's his loss. He lost out on a great thing. He lost out on greatness. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean I'm not still great. That doesn't mean I can continue to have great. As long as you have breath in your body, you can still be great. Yeah. Tomorrow can be a great day. Nobody knows. Only God knows.
Yeah. Yep. Everything could change in a day.
Yeah. So situation, the sister wife situation, whether you're the wife or the baby mom, in our terms, we're going to use that, the baby mom and the wife, because those are the two that, those are the two that you find bicker, or the two baby moms. Yeah. These two women in the life, and moms too. Mom bicker with baby mom all the time. So you see two women in the life of the man. What are they doing? Mm-hmm. Are you destroying the next generation, or are you helping to build, come together, put our differences aside, and build the next generation?
You have to come together. Yeah.
It's about coming back together, unifying as one. We're one. When you cut her, you see blood come out. When you cut her, you see blood come out. It's the same blood. And they always needed to be donated. Always asking for blood to be donated. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
It was the blood that saved us.
Yeah.
It was one blood that saved us.
Blood. Yep.
So we're all still the same. When you cut any one of us on the operating table, we all look the same on the inside.
We do, yeah.
Same organs. They all look the
Yeah.
same.
Mhm.
Unless you smoke it, you know, you're just treating your body all type of way.
Yeah.
That's it. But a heart is a heart.
Yes, yeah. Heart is a heart.
A lung is a lung.
Mm-hmm.
A liver is a liver. A kidney is a kidney. An organ is an organ.
Yeah.
And we're all organisms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you think, you know, your mind is not the word, it is the word. It's the word of God.
Yeah.
So if you're in one of these, you know, wonderful makeshift family, reinvented family situations, ask yourself, honestly, which wife am I?
Right. Which wife are you going to be? Right.
Which woman am I going to be?
Right.
What's my position going to be? How am I helping this unit together? And stop looking at it from a self perspective, looking at it from an outwardly perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We always talk about what you bring into the table.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, they do.
What you bring into the table.
Yeah, what you bring into the
table. The table's not already set.
Yeah,
I can't just come eat.
Right.
Like buffet style.
Right, love that.
Like buffet style. Like, no, what are you bringing to that child's life?
Yes.
What are you bringing to that family unit?
Mm-hmm.
If they're not unified, are you going to unify them? Are you going to solidify them? Are you going to be that community of sister wives?
And that's what
or
it
are you
is.
just going to come in and add to whatever the mess is going on?
Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to lead? There's no leaders. Everyone's
but you saw these women, the women that they took were
each
servants to them. So they were already leaders in their own way.
The servants
And so there was
leaders.
already a dynamic set up. And it's kind of like, okay, I'm just going to come in and follow suit. But if something needs to be changed, we can still work together and change it.
Right. Exactly.
So you see that with Hagar going back, something needed to be changed.
Yes.
There was a misunderstanding and we need to clarify it. And conflict resolution and working on the relationship is a constant thing. It's a constant.
It is. Every moment of the day.
Every moment of the day. Every moment of the day. It's a constant thing. So you can be relevant as a wife or a concubine. You're still a wife as a concubine. Don't let anybody tell you no different. Concubines are wives. Whether you're the first lady, second lady, third lady.
Yeah.
It's about the community. It's about the generation. That's what it actually was about. It was about the covenant that God made and about the generation. They understood the mission, which is for the generation. It wasn't about us.
No.
We made the best of the situation and we made it work.
Right.
It's not about us. It's about the next generation.
It is. So it is about the next generation. Yeah.
So, Mr. Noy, tell them about the cake videos that I'll be watching. If you want to become a baker.
I share a lot of cake content, like the tutorials and things. You know, I talk about my experience with cake, with cake decorating and all of that. So yeah, I don't know.
Tell them where to follow you. She's on Instagram, y'all. She does her little videos, and she has these wonderful motivational moments, and they're just always captured with a quote, and they're so nice.
Yes. Yeah, for my podcast, I share some things on there, and just really trying to share everything about my life and how I feel and my process of my feelings, and because it's hard to come on here and do all of this, you know what I mean, to come on social media. I mean, you have a YouTube, you have an Instagram, you have your Facebook. I mean, that wasn't easy trying to put all this stuff together in your podcast and to get people to look and watch and to promote yourself. So
it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's like a full-time job.
So I talk about all that. And we have a family. I have a family too, and trying to do this and stuff. So
she's better than me, y'all. I'm gonna just put it out there because I don't have a husband yet. And my children are grown. So it's just me. So I love her. Like I tell you, she makes these little motivational quotes with they're just so perfect because it's just so authentically where everybody is. I hate the pretense.
So I
hate the pretense. I like the authenticity. Don't let me feel like I'm an outsider or I am crazy for having my feelings.
Yeah.
Or this is what I love that about how society is changing and embracing that we have flaws. That we go through things. Everybody's going through something. Don't think nobody's not going through anything. It may not be what you're going through, but it's still like a go through. And it's refreshing to hear people, and it's the testimony. It's we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony, and just to hear how she overcomes just dealing with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
In right now, it encourages
Yeah.
people. I love the little quotes. Like, I love them.
Thank
They're so
you.
perfect. Like, they're so
Yeah,
perfect.
I just say whatever I say to myself. You know, things that I say to myself, what I think and how I feel, that's what I just try to put out, you know, and just do it. Just like somebody needs to hear this. Cause I saw one day that it says you just need to inspire. The purpose is to inspire other people. You know what I mean? Make them think and make them, you know, so if I'm thinking and if I can get it for myself, then other people are feeling the same way. So that way they can get it for themselves too. Cause we're all the same. Like you were saying, we're all the same,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in a big percentage of us, you know, is more so than not. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just trying to find my people and connect with people. And I loved you right away. When you reached out to me and everything, like I want to like talk to you and interview you and get to know you and just talk about like all the things. Now that you're like, I know that you're comfortable online, you know, doing this. So
no, this is over time. I think
mm-hmm.
This is over time. Like our first episode, I was super nervous. Unless you know me personally, you would have never. I laugh a lot when I'm nervous. Like I was so socially the first episode, so I laugh a lot. And I was like, that was just nerves. I was just trying to talk it up to nerves. But now, talking about the Lord and talking about just the revelation I get, that's just my passion. Like I've developed this wonderful, wonderful relationship with God. Like I can't give it up for nothing. I'm sorry. It's my right. It's my. You know, just to even give you something that happened yesterday, like something I was just not feeling myself yesterday. Like I just was off. And I listened to a TDJ sermon that had been downloaded for months now. And I finally listened to it and it made sense. And I ran home. I just drove home just to pray to God about it, about how I was feeling. And just leaving it right there. Like, God, this is how I'm feeling today. Like, this is where I'm at. I know you know, but I'm going to tell you too. And just give me what direction you want me to go in. Like that's the type of relationship I have. Like I come like, wherever I'm at and something comes up, I'm like, God, what do you think about this?
That faith and that trust. Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm frustrated, I'm like, God, I'm frustrated, and this is why I'm frustrated. Show me, give me revelation. Show me, is it what's going on? Give me some clarity.
Some clarity,
that I can be on the better side. I can be on the upside. Sometimes it happens right away. Sometimes it takes some time, but I'm persistent with the prayer, praying without cease. He's gonna answer. The woman that knocked on the door, he answered for her.
Yeah.
So it's just developing that relationship. It's just consistency. I was intentional about my relationship with God, like intentional. I was like, I need this more than I need anything else. It's home for me. In God's presence is home for me. It's where I'm rejuvenated. I feel at peace. I'm at rest. Everything that I have need of, he tells me. He tells me about my life. He gives me direction for me and my generation.
Yeah.
That's just the type of God he is. He is that God. He's not exclusive to me. He's really not. He's not exclusive to TD Jakes. He's not exclusive to Joel Osteen. He's not exclusive to anybody you see on TV. The same God they pray to is the same God.
Yes.
He's not exclusive. They just probably spent more time in his presence than you probably did.
Yeah, you're more connected, so you get that clarity faster and quicker, and But
the same Abraham, same seed, the same blood that washed him. The same God that they pray to is the same God you pray to. Well, if you pray to that God.
Yeah.
But we want to thank you, Miss Lenora.
Yeah.
Huh? It's just developing, and it's not easy every day. It's not a relationship, and relationships aren't easy. They're not. None of them are. Even with God being God, it's not about him, it's about me. And it's me that he's there. I always wanted to date him. And so I would jump in, get a blessing, and then you run off. The backslider. They call him the backslider. You come to God when you have an issue, and then when he fixes it, you go right back to doing whatever you was doing before. So I had that type of relationship. And I was like, no, I came to marry you. And I said, with all my flaws and all my junk, he's like, yeah, I still want you. And I'm like, great. I love that.
Right.
No, we work on that. And I'm like, cool. I could just tell you what I do.
Yeah.
You can, Charlene. It's okay. I got you. I'm not afraid of your feelings. I gave them to you. So I'm like, I got you. You ain't gotta be nobody else. You don't have to pretend with me, because remember, I see all and I know all. So you don't have to pretend. You can pretend with all the rest of the people in the world, but you don't have to pretend with me. Right here is authentically you, and I created you. So I know you better than you know yourself.
Right.
So it's just like that loving relationship that I didn't have to work for.
No.
I don't have to work for it. It's there. Even when I mess up, and truly repent. And act upon my repentance. God, I'm not gonna go back. I've learned my lesson. And not just lip service, because he knows when you're giving him lip service. He knows your heart. He looks right in there before you even open up your mouth. And so I just say, hey, God, you know what? I'm going to do better. And I became intentional about this. I said, God, I'll come find you. Come knock on my door. I'll come find you. I'll wake up wanting to talk to you. Like, wherever you are, I'm there. You're on the mountain, I'm coming up. You're in the valley, I'm coming down. Like, wherever you are. And it's brought me so much peace. It's brought me so much joy. Like, unspeakable. The stuff that I used to worry about, I don't worry about them no more. The stuff that I used to have on my mind,
you don't anymore.
Not like just some of my habits that I've seen transform. And
that's the big thing, is changing your habits and those things that keep you down. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I was horribly. I realized I wasn't even that happy with some of the stuff I was doing.
No, and
it was like, and now I can see and hear what I would say in past situation or past. Like yesterday when I came home, it was something that I realized that I would do. And I caught it in that moment. Like, God, you gave me the revelation to know that that's something that I used to do, but I know better now that I can come and I can pray to you. And I can, when I pray out and I talk it out. And that's just the relationship. We thank you, Sister Lenora. My lovely co-host wasn't here today. And our other guests, they'll be back on another show.
I guess
we'll see you. It'll be us. She'll be back again. I'm in Kirkham back. With her pretty smile and just her energy. I love her. I just love her authenticity.
Thank you for
and we're
seeing
sisters
me.
in wives and in Christ, and we're sisters in God. We're God's creation together. And so you see us coming together, women coming together. I love when women come together. TDJ said it. When women come together, atmospheres move. The world changes. Things changes when women move. We need to be moving a whole lot more together. Like we need to be moving. A lot of the dating problems we have, if we all stuck together, things will be different.
Yeah, it would be different. I think I like that. We would be very different if we.
It would be very different. But the fact that you put us at competition with one another, put hierarchies between us, then we can't work together to conquer the things that we need to conquer. Women had a very pivotal role in the Bible. You can go look at every woman's story. It's a great role. She is the carrier of the seed that crushes the serpent's head. Wow, it wasn't Abraham. It wasn't Adam that God said had the seed. It was the woman that had the seed that will crush the head. She's the deliverer of the deliverer.
Woo, yeah.
So your role is just great. Don't let nobody society put a divide in there. We can raise generations to be great when we come together. It's when we stay apart and we stay away from each other that great things doesn't happen. We want them to happen. We hope that, but if we didn't come together and collectively put our minds together,
it doesn't. I didn't find getting to my happiness without actually trying to have a community and build a community and, work towards that and connecting with women like you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I crave that. I need that. I want that. Like,
I work with brothers. I'm like the only girl for my mom. I'm the only girl. And
wow.
I love having my friends. Like my friends are girls. Most of them are females. And we just encourage each other. Like it's not, we have difference of opinions. Yeah, we all gonna have difference of opinions, but it's just coming back to that oneness, coming back to that center, actual mission, being focused on the mission, not in our feelings. Get feelings out the way. Get them out the way. And let's get some facts in here and let's start moving and doing things together. Like when we come together and put our heads together, great things happen. The generation changes because we're women. We have the seed. We have the seed that's going to crush the serpent's head. When T.D. Jakes said that, I was just like blown out the water. I was like, yes, God did say that. It was the seed.
It's good.
That was going to crush the serpent's head.
That's good. Yeah.
It was just like, whoa. So if we come, things will start changing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we
got to keep doing this.
Going over the women of the Bible, and God kept on saying, it starts with the women. It starts with the women.
That's with the women. Woo.
Eve was that game changer. She came in and she changed the game.
Yeah.
She trailblazed. So it starts with us. Not that we diminish men. Not that we're not saying that. But let's start coming together to change some things in society that they put up against us. The bickering and the fighting and the who looks better, who has better what. Like these trends were not started by us.
No, yeah.
The perfect body, like we weren't thinking of that stuff.
Yeah.
We love our differences. We were created differently. Some have big breasts, some have small breasts. Some have big butts, some have small butts.
Yeah.
Some have big lips, some have, it's just the differences. It's just a wide array of differences. And it's like we need to appreciate them rather than make each other feel small about them.
Yeah.
Or lesser than about them. That divide wasn't created by us. But we walked into it. We are living it. And we're perpetuating it.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to change that for real. So
getting women together just to do let's do a march. Let's do, Harriet Tubman. Let's do a Rosa Parks. Let's do a great move.
Yes.
Let's start tearing some of the stuff down. I went to church with a friend on Sunday and I was sitting at the bar. I don't drink, y'all. I didn't drink. I had some slushy.
Yeah.
And there was a young lady sitting next to me. She came in and she sat down and somebody asked her, like, who's she coming to meet? And she was like, oh, I'm coming to meet a friend. And she ordered a Corona. And she's like, yeah, he's not really my friend. I'll share him. I'm willing to share. And I was just like, community property? And she's like, yeah. And so he comes and he's talking and he says something. And she was like, well, somebody said something about being married and being a wife. And she's like, I want to be a wife. I said, what's wrong? You can't be a wife when you're community property to do. You just ditched him out before he even got here. You started to share before. You're not going to get to be a wife by sharing.
No.
And so she's there talking to the guy and we're all engaged in conversation. And she walks up to go talk to someone else. And as soon as she walks up, he jumps in. Oh, that's not my girl.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And I was just like,
what's wrong
why
with
you didn't say
people?
when she was
Yeah. Right.
And he's the only man amongst all these women. And I was just like, okay. And I was just like, two things. You don't know your value. He's coming. You're saying he's community property, but you want him to be a wife. You can't say that. You want single when you're willing to share. Sharing is, in that case, is not caring. It's just disease.
Sharing is not caring. Yeah.
It's just diseases and problems.
Yeah.
It's just disease. And so I was just like, you're fighting against your own self right there.
Yep.
And for him, I was like, you just say that, and she wasn't here. I don't even look at you as a man. But in a perpetual state of, because he said what he said, you figure I'm not talking as good as what you're saying? Like, no, I'm not gonna. No. She's a sister before you're a man.
Right.
And if she doesn't know her worth, I know her worth.
Right. Thank you for saying.
And so you would think like, oh, give me a no. No. I'm sorry. Negative. I'm trying to help the problem that we have, not instigated, not carried on, not perpetually carried on. She wants to be married. Who am I to overstep what she has or what she's trying to develop with you? You're not the God for her.
No.
You're not willing to take her to that level. But that, shame on you. But I'm not going to perpetuate. I'm not going to help. I'm not helping the situation.
Yeah.
I want to cut it down. And if more of us did that, where would we be?
Yeah,
We literally got to start thinking outside the box, thinking about what we're destroying. We're destroying our world. It's our world still.
A lot of
We're
women
destroying our world.
are doing that. Like a lot of women say things like that, or they're
no, you're not helping. You're not helping the situation. You're not helping what you're living in. It's like you're feeding the monster that you're trying to kill. You're not.
Yeah, you are.
Don't sleep with the married man if you know he's married. Leave him alone. Let him go home and deal with his problems.
Yes, he's problem.
Don't perpetuate it. Don't destroy a family because you're hot in your pants.
Right.
And you're only thinking with one head. You're not no different than the woman that he's gonna leave.
Woo, yeah. 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 Yeah, we gotta make them realize.
We gotta come together. We gotta come together. We gotta get on one page. We gotta get on one accord. We gotta come together. They always say you can't put women in a room together. Like, why not? Why not? And that wasn't something that the system set up for us. And then we're just living in it. We're just repeating it, and we're just dealing with it. And it's like, no. Yeah. I can't be friends with women and we not be catty. We can encourage each other. We can build each other up. We can share our secrets. We can encourage one another and hold each other accountable. And we also beautiful.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, there's actual sisters that don't even talk to each other. They don't, communicate, and your own blood sister. You don't.
And that's a breakdown. We should break down. Instead of us creating a community, we create division over misunderstandings.
Because nobody wants to talk to each other about how they feel or anything.
And respect each other and how we feel. You have a right to feel the way you feel, and I'm going to acknowledge it. But let's create some type of a commonness that we can still live on and we can still build on. We're going to have differences. Great. Yes. That means you're thinking and I'm thinking.
Yes. Yep.
But let's find those common areas where we're women first and foremost. We're women first and foremost. That's a common ground right there.
Yeah.
That's the biggest common ground that we can build on. We're mothers, we were wives, or even if none of those don't come, we are women.
We're women.
That's just the commonality of it. We're women. Let's start sticking together. Let's raise another generation of lovers and union and community and marriages and just better household, better families, better lives.
Better lives, yeah.
Everything stems from us. We're the carrier of the seed that the serpent's had. That was so profound.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. We're that powerful. We're that powerful.
Yeah, we're powerful.
We have power. Let's start. Let's start shifting some of those things. Let's start shifting the pay in the business world, the jobs, relationships. Somehow, somewhere in we had to let certain things come in, and now it's defeating us.
Yeah, it is. It is defeating us. Yeah.
Because we bicker, we don't want to watch each other's children, and so to elevate, and we don't get to grow, and we don't get to make more money. We're not holding each other accountable. We're not giving each other good advice, and keeping each other in line. Keeping each other focused on the mission, what the mission is. Like whatever mission we set out to do, let's complete it. Let's see it to the finish. Let's not just leave it on the side. Like, let's finish this thing. Let's finish it.
Yeah.
And show the next generation, hey, we can finish this. We can together as sister wives, as concubines and wives. We're in this as a community together. We're the body. We might be the two arms and the 2 feet. We might be the 2 eyes and the 2 nostril holes.
Yes, yeah.
We might be the 2 ears.
Yeah.
But until we get that revelation, till all of us get it, we're gonna be.
But the thing is about it, though, you were working within yourself. You know what I mean? And then you have this podcast where you have other women that are working within themselves, and people that are watching are looking at you, and you're living and breathing and embodying what you say and what you do. So you have a big responsibility, and you're doing that. And same thing with me, what I'm trying to do. There's a certain way and certain type of person that I want to be, that I want to show to the world. I'm not going to show myself half naked. I'm not going to show myself, drawing that wrong attention. I'm not going to show myself doing this or that. I'm going to do things with honor and with, and with knowing that I have a daughter, what is she going to look at when she's older and she goes back and looks at all the things that I've done? The things that I've done, I wanted to be a blueprint or a rubric for her. You know what I mean? Like, my mom did this, she did this, and it inspires her and enlightens her. And then she's able to connect with other women in that way, and then her children. And you know what I mean? Like, it just
generation gets better. Generation gets better and better and better.
I think it's important not to do it for everybody, but the ones that are closest to you are the ones that need you the most and that are paying attention to you. Even if they don't comment, nothing like that. They don't ask how you doing. They don't text you. They don't do nothing. But they see you, and maybe throughout their day, what you did or what you said makes them change one thing. You know what I mean? Makes them change their attitude towards their coworker. Makes them change, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. So it's not going to look like it in the bigger picture, because it's really hard, because people are backsliding all the time. You know what I mean? So it's hard. Nobody's perfect.
But I talked about it. It's one of the things that, when you don't have people holding you accountable to the mission. If you don't have that co-part, if you created the mission and you're the only one on the mission, ain't nobody there to hold you accountable for no mission.
No, yeah. But that's how it is.
And do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if you have a community of people who understand your mission and your vision, you want them to hold you accountable. You need them to hold you accountable. Them. I see. You need to understand that that's the dynamic you need to succeed. So when they come with the correction in love, it's for your good, and they're not telling you nothing for your bad. It's for your good. Then you progress. You get to grow. Pruning happens to trees and roses and flowers and stuff. You see them getting pruned because they need it to grow. Trees shed their leaves in the wintertime so they can birth new leaves come spring. So you need to shed those things in order to grow.
You do, yep. It's a constant thing, and people stay in that without really letting everything go. And shed and renew yourself.
You gotta shed.
It is a cycle. Yeah.
It's evolution. You gotta shed some stuff. 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 And taking what the generation before you taught you and applying it to where you are. Some things you're gonna leave behind, and some things you're gonna take forward with you. But it's that blueprint that I can build a foundation off of, and then add on, whatever I need. Because my generation might be a little bit different from my mom's generation. And that's something that I taught my daughter. The things that I learned from my mom was independence and strength, because I grew up seeing strong women. But then at the same time, I said, listen, you need love in there. You need softness in there. You could be strong, but you need softness.
You do. Yes. Yeah.
So I took the strength of theirs, but I'm going to give you something extra. You need softness. You need unity to walk as one. It's great walking by yourself, but with two, guess how much more ground you can cover?
Yes. Yeah.
Two with the same vision, working toward the same goal, we can cover more ground. We're better equipped.
Yeah.
To conquer many things. So it's just, having those conversations and those relationships, and having those people in your life that hold you accountable for the vision that you set out for yourself. And the mission and saying, hey, I tell my friends all the time, hold me accountable to the things I say.
Hold me accountable, yeah.
Hold me accountable. Like, tell me the straight up truth. Like, girl, you know you have no business doing that.
Yeah, we need it. We need that.
Thank you for telling me. I need that. I need that check. I needed that reality check. Check me. Check my reality.
Right.
Draw me back in. When you see me going way too far left, pull me back in.
It happens.
Girl, get your mind together. Get yourself together. Like, that ain't key. We're not working towards that.
Yeah, that's why you need a community.
You need a community. You need that community. Adam was never alone. God saw that he needed something. You needed more than just him to go out and multiply. In order to go out and multiply, you need just more than one. You need actually two. Multiplication starts with two. 1 and 1 is still two things.
Yeah.
Two ones is still two things, and 1 times 1 is 1.
Yeah.
1 times 2 is 2. That's when numbers start adding up. More than 2, it starts to add up more.
Yeah.
So you need that community. You need that oneness. And I would just love for women just to come together. Let's just come together. Let's come together. Let's get it. Let's come together.
Learn from each other. Yeah.
But you don't think of the differences. We can find so many.
Yeah.
We can find so many differences, but just let's find that commonality that connects us. We're women. That's just that one word that connects us together. We're women. We can find all the differences all day long, and there are plenty.
Yeah, plenty.
Plenty descriptive differences between us. But let's find that common one that connects us. We're women. Carry the seed that will crush the serpent's head. We are the deliverer of the deliverers.
Yes.
The ones that's going to save a generation.
Yes. Yeah.
And you don't know who's going to save the generation. You don't know if it's the first child, the second child, the third child, the fourth child.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
So don't cast, I'm not going to say to the side, but don't count them out. Don't count out your life. Maybe it's not the first baby daddy. Maybe it's the next guy that you meet that you have a child with. You just don't do that. Don't count nothing out. Everything can work together for the good.
Yes.
We thank you guys who went way over. Conversation be good. We thank you guys for joining us. Miss Lenora is on Instagram. When we tag her on this, and she will definitely be back. I thank her for being here and sharing her wonderful information and just sharing her insight. Like, that was just a wealth of knowledge, and just to come together. Women from 2 different backgrounds, 2 different shows.
Yeah.
And just connecting. Like, no, guys, I did not know her from my previous. Like, no. I don't know her, and just meeting her and talking with her, just coming together for one common goal.
Yes. Yep.
That's it. That's concubines and wives right there.
Yeah.
Coming together for one common goal. Concubines and wives, sisters in one mission. Thank you. We see you next week, same time, same place. My co-host will be here. I'm not gonna guarantee you.
We missed her.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come back on to sit with her and sit with us and talk up some more and chop up some more conversation and discuss have cocktail conversations with us. Next week we'll be talking about Dina, Jacob's daughter that got raped. Sad situation.
Yeah.
Sad situation.
I'm glad I didn't come on for that one, because I'll probably cry.
You know what? You should come back on for that one. Yeah. I think a lot of women probably gonna listen in on that one. Yeah. Because a lot of women have those experienced something like she did. Yeah. It's one of those sad stories in the Bible. I call it a sad story, because she comes in and you see, something tragic happening to her, like right off the rip, like out of something that was intended to be good, something horrible happened, and you see the repercussions and the consequences of it. Her brothers did step in and defended her. But that's who we're going to be talking about next week. Join us here, same time, same Tuesday, 7 p.m. Cocktails and Cries. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. We're everywhere. We're everywhere, but somewhere. We thank you guys. Have a nice night. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
In that project.